Hey gang, Rick with Let's Level Up, and we have a Kickstarter review for you today. This is from Onion Squire Games, and it's called Game Developerz. Essentially, we play a studio working on the latest and greatest game. Throughout the course of the game, we're going to be working towards building features for our game. Things like making an MMORPG, or adding in a auction house, or a guild system, or something like that. We're going to be building features to our game. The first player to complete 6 features is going to conclude the game, and then after that we're going to total our beta score up, and whoever has the highest wins. Now there's a catch. Every other player at the table is going to be a competing studio, and they're going to be laying traps down or adding in resistance for us as we go through and try to complete our features. And we can do the same to them. When I first played Game Developerz, I thought it was very similar to Munchkin, but I really fell in love with the theme. If you're a fan of PC gaming or even console gaming in the slightest and you like Munchkin, I strongly recommend you check out Game Developerz. We're going to put this on the table, show you how it's played, and then after that give you our final thoughts. Alright, so when we open up Game Developerz, we're going to get this in the box along with a nice rule booklet. The thing I like about this rule booklet is that it's very colorful, very thin. It's a very easy game to learn how to play, and it's very familiar, again, if you've ever played Munchkin. So the green deck is going to represent the companies. This is going to be our identity. Every player will start with a company. And again, this play is going to play 3 to 6 players and take about an hour long to play. The purple deck is going to be the assets. The red deck are going to be random events that are going to happen if we fail to build a feature. And sometimes we'll have to draw random events no matter what. The yellow deck are the features. Now, the important thing about this game is that we're going to develop features. Now, each feature is going to have a scoring value, except for this one because it's blank. It's going to have a scoring value such as 11 points here. Now, this is going to allow us 11 beta score at the end of the game when it comes time to score the number of features that we have. Remember, the first player, or company rather, to get 6 features completed in their game is going to go to beta, and then we're all going to basically essentially rush to market. The game is over, we'll calculate our total points, and we'll figure out who's won the game. So first things first, let's take a look at the green deck and see some of the different companies that we're going to be able to play in Game Developerz. Okay. Here we have EF, Electronic Farts. And each company is going to have its own ability that you're going to be able to use throughout the game. And Electronic Farts allows us to, at the beginning of your turn, you can pay 5 coins to take a staff card from the assets discard pile and add it to your hand. You can only do this once per turn. Next up we have Pony, Computer Entertainment. It says special ability is you can keep 6 cards in your hand instead of 5, so an extra card. Next up we have Valvola. Valvola has the ability, says when you help another player to develop a feature, you can obtain 2 extra coins as an award. Night Vision Lizard. The studio has +2 to game development. IB Hardware. Your studio has +2 to code. Ubi Flop. You can have up to 7 staff cards in play instead of 6. Gigasoft Game Studios. During the pre-production phase, you obtain 3 coins instead of 2 from your publisher. And finally, Te Entiendo. It says when you make an investment, draw 1 extra card and discard 1 those that you've just drawn. So this allows you to essentially pull 2 assets out and then discard 1 of the assets, keeping the one that you really like. So all in all, this is basically built on the big players as of 2013, 2014 in game development. Very funny kind of play on words here. It's a really silly game, and you get an essence of what Game Developerz is just by looking at the company cards. Now let's take a look at a couple sample features here and how the game is going to work. So a feature is going to have a couple different things. To develop a feature, it's going to have a cost here at the bottom of the card. So this says free roaming camera. This is going to have a code cost of 5 and a game development cost of 5. It's going to yield 8 coins, and if you don't successfully do it, you have to complete one random event at the end of this. So essentially, when I go into feature development, I'm going to pick a feature that I'm going to attempt to develop. I'm going to figure out if I have the total number of resources here. If not, I can ask another studio to help, and then they can have their own resources add to mine. Subsequently, other studios are going to be able to sabotage us to make sure that we don't meet the necessary requirements. Again, so if I have a code of 5 and a game development of 5, I'm going to attempt to complete this. A studio might add on that now I'm going to require marketing of 3 to be added onto this card. If I don't have that marketing of 3, I'm going to have to ask a studio for help. And in doing so, we're going to have to come to some sort of agreement. Either I get 8 reward here and they have to take so many of the different rewards, which I'm sorry are not coins, they're actually assets in the form of the purple deck. So we're going to have to come to an agreement there. If everything goes okay, I'm going to be able to add this to one of my 6 features in my game. It's going to give me whatever permanent values here. So this is going to give me game development plus 2 after that. So this is one of the early features that we're going to add to the game that's going to make coding the rest of the game easier. Next up, we're going to have World of Ponecraft. This is an MMORPG. Now this is going to yield 17 points, and it's going to give us a permanent +1 to art, +1 to code, +1 to game development, +1 to marketing. It's going to require 6 of each and yields 21 reward, or if we fail, 3 random events. So this is a really big card here, a really big feature to try to develop. Next up, we have explicit language and mature content. This is going to give us +2 to marketing. It's going to give us 12 points, and you're going to require 2 art and 6 marketing to do. It's going to yield 7 reward and 1 random event. So all in all, you can see it's going to be a race to see who can complete the features, but also we're going to have asset cards that we're going to be able to play in order to sabotage or to assist players in getting it. So let's take a look at a few of the different assets here. So here's an asset. It says lots of know-how. It says draw 3 cards and keep them keep in your hand any business development card. Discard the other cards. This is a single-use item. You can see that here's a brown border. This is a business development card. Next up, we have a staff member. This is the marketing dude who brings coffee. This is a staff. It's got a blue border. It gives you a +1 to marketing when this guy is in play. Now, a staff card, you can have up to 6 staff members in play at any time. This is kind of like an equipment limit for your different company. Now, I think one of the different companies is going to allow you to get a 7th staff member, but as a default, you can only have 6. So you're going to be able to take your current staff members and whatever they provide up here is going to allow you to accomplish those features throughout the game. Next up, we have a QA tester. +1 to game development here. He's a staff member. We have an associate marketing. +1 to marketing. We have a lead artist. They're going to give us +4 to art here. You can see a cool little Assassin's Creed tribute there. Indie of the Year. This is an award. This is business development. It says gift 1 card to 2 players at your will in order to obtain 10 coins, single use. Another business development card. We are hiring. Draw 3 cards and keep in your hand any staff card. Shuffle the others back into the deck, single use. A lead designer card. This is going to give us +4 to game design. Falling shares. This is going to be a business development card. It says play this card on a target player working on a feature. So whenever they're going to try to complete a feature, we can play this. that player is going to get -2 art, -2 code, -2 game design, -2 marketing until the end of the turn. So this is one of those cards that we can play to really make sure that somebody is not going to be able to complete the feature that they're currently working on. It says, what about the beer? Target staff is off to buy some beers in the studio, and he won't be available until the end of the turn. So this is another card you can play on a target staff member from another studio, and essentially it's going to remove their points from contributing to the current feature development. Next up, we have another marketing guy, +1 to marketing. General discontent. It says target player at the beginning of his or her next turn must discard a member of his or her staff at will. This card stays in play until the target player completes a feature for his or her studio, or until there are no more staff cards in play. This is a very powerful card to put on somebody. Alright, we have a product manager here. +1 to art, +2 to game design, +4 to marketing. Very important to have a product manager in the different projects that we're currently working on. +1 to game development, a junior game designer. Turnover. Fire all of the staff, then draw 5 cards, single use. So you get in essence here, this assets deck is going to be where all of our bonuses are basically banes to our players and boons for us are going to come from this deck. Also, our staff that we're going to be able to recruit is going to come from this. So in the event that we don't have the necessary requirements to complete a feature, we're going to have a random event or multiple random events. In that case, we're going to draw the top card of the red deck. And this, it says spring cleaning. It says discard 1 random card and lose 5 coins. Now, these are generally bad, but they don't always have to be bad. It says we don't need them anymore. Discard 2 cards of your choice. It says World Day of Charity. Give a card of your choice to the player on your right. Critic Award. This is actually going to give us 2 victory points at the end of the game. It says the player with the highest beta critic score gets this card along with 6 coins. In case of equality among players, no one receives a prize. Draw another random event. So a critic award allows us to essentially get a nice pat on the back, unless it's going to one of our enemies. In that case, it's very bad. Has gone to Lizard. You lose a staff card of choice among those you have in play. So losing staff is a pretty common deterrent here for pulling these random events. We trust in you. Draw up to 5 cards in order to refill your hand. So that one's not so bad. Noodle. As they do in Noodle. 50% rounded down of your staff won't be available during the next feature development phase because they are working on some personal projects. You decide who. So you can see that's kind of a taste of what you're going to get from the random event deck. Now, all in all, at the beginning of the game, we're going to draw some cards in our assets to complete our hand. We're going to have a certain amount of coins that we're going to get, and we're also going to be able to choose whether we want to go into pre-production, which allows us to draw cards and coins and play assets, build a higher staff, and any other cards that we may want to play at that time, or we can go into feature development, where we'll attempt to produce a feature from the deck. Now, again, if we can develop that feature, great, it adds to our total. If we can't develop that feature, bad things are going to happen for us. And we were not necessarily going to be able to get, not only are we not going to be able to develop the feature and get the points for our beta score, but we're going to have to get a random event, which could be potentially even worse. So that's a nice look at Game Developerz. Again, I hope you guys like this. Please follow us for our final thoughts. So that's it for Game Developerz. Overall, I think Game Developerz is a really fun game. Is it the most unique game? Probably not. I mean, it is very, very similar to Munchkin to me. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Lord knows there's a ton of flavors of Munchkin as it is. Game Developerz does have the ability to allow the players to choose which phase they're going to be going into, unlike other games where you just have to do a certain thing, and then depending on what happens there, you can do it. So there is a bit of difference there, and the theme is so good. I love all the puns with the different company names and the just different alliterations and kind of homage they pay at Onion Squire to the different games that I know that I grew up loving to play, and I'm sure they did as well. So all in all, again, if you found this game at all interesting, check out their Kickstarter page. It's going to be a link in the description below. And definitely look at promoting this game, or rather backing this game, because it's one I think that's fun. And at the end of the day, isn't that what we want in games? I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video. And of course, take a look at Game Developerz on Kickstarter. It's definitely going to be one that I'm going to be interested in backing personally, just because I really like the flavor of it, and I can't get enough Munchkin at the end of the day. So there it is. Yeah, most importantly, game on.